So I decided, since the colors that I got from the Purple Heart with the water and the alcohols were so different, that I'm actually going to do two different dye pots, one with the water and one with the isopropyl alcohol. Now, the water has 100% weight of goods in it. I'm going to use it first without what's left over in the sun tea jars. The Purple Heart with the isopropyl alcohol jar, I only had 72 grams left, and I've got 100 grams worth of yarn and fabric to dye. So it's not quite 100%, but I'm going to be adding to it what was left over from the sun dyes, and that total was 60. I know a little bit got absorbed into the yarn, but you get 60 plus 72 is 130. I think I'm going to be easily 100% weight of goods on it too. So I've got them out here sitting in the sun right now while I'm weighing off the yarn and getting it soaked and everything, because I figure we might as well let the sun at least cook this up a little bit and bring it up and get some color out of it before we start dyeing. But yep, these I'm going to dye together. Okay, we're going to do the Purple Heart, the two different pots. One's with water, one I'm doing with the isopropyl alcohol, because we came up with two different colors between the alcohols and the water. So we're going to do two different pots. So I'm reusing the cloths from, this one here is from the Canary Wood, and this one here is from the Yellow Heart. There's a little bit of color in the Canary Wood, but I really don't care. Actually, I'm kind of interested to see what it looks like when it's done. And then the Yellow Heart it's just barely yellow. So again, these are not pre-mortared, but they both have been in dye pots before. So let's go ahead and pour this in. Still cracks me up that you don't get purple with Purple Heart. And it's decidedly a brown in the jar. And as far as brown as the water is, you can still see purple down in that. So it's definitely a purpled brown. So I'm going to pull this up, make my little tea bag, and drop this in the pot that's heating up. And then I'll do the same thing with the one that's been soaking in the isopropyl alcohol. And let's bring these pots up to a boil and see what we can get out of them. Well, this is interesting. This is the Purple Heart with the isopropyl alcohol. That's purple. That is just as gorgeous a purple as you can get. Interesting what it's going to be when it gets heated up then. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So, will this turn green when it's heated, or will it stay purple? Let's find out. Well, that's interesting. See where the Purple Heart has soaked into where the Yellow Heart was? That is it's actually a really sweet green. So, it's acting as a blue against the yellow. So that's why it's creating the green, although it seems to be more red. That's decidedly green. Now it's interesting, the ones that were in the sun definitely have a blue-purple cast to them. I am going to be very interested in this. Yes, I'm going to keep the temperature low on this. I'm not going to let it get hot at all. But let's see if we can keep those purple tones in there. So I have done the Purple Heart two different ways. One with water, one with isopropyl alcohol. This is on the stovetop, and I'll show you why. Let me grab out the sun tea versions. Okay, the Everclear. Some interesting greens though. I really like the blue greens that are in this, and there's some yellow greens in. See, the yellow greens are the wool, the blue greens are the cotton wool blend. And then isopropyl alcohol, a little stronger in the colors. I think it brought out a little bit more of the yellows more. And then the water. I do love those teals. And so with that in mind, obviously not going to do this. I did a pot with isopropyl alcohol and a pot with water because I wanted to see what the difference was with them heated up. And here's what I learned. So, alright, let's see if I can do this because I've got two sides to this thing. Let's start with the silks. Okay, so this is the water side. Water, water, water. So this is the silks. Again, copper gave us a darker color, and the lighter colors came from the alum and the tin, and for some reason the iron just didn't give a whole lot. But that, again, I still think I'm blaming the silk. Although I have to admit, I love that color. Isn't that pretty? Now let's look at the same thing on the isopropyl alcohol side. Okay, so we have the tin, the copper, and the alum. Tin, copper, and alum. Water, isopropyl alcohol. The water, for some reason, does have some more yellows in it, which is the opposite of what it was in the sun tea. The sun tea had more blues in it. But I think this came out with a little bit more yellows in it than the isopropyl alcohol. But other than that, they're very, very, very similar. So I'm thinking with this one here, you might as well just use the water and everything. So I'm going to put that over here. Now let's look at the cottons. Cotton with water. And, come on. Cotton with water. The aluminum acetate only really did not put any color on it from the water. The tannin aluminum acetate is a slight light olivey green. It's actually a really pretty olivey green. So I really liked that. And let's look at the cotton. Okay, this is the cotton with the isopropyl alcohol. Make sure of that, yes. There is a slight light green cast with this. And again, it's an olivey, light olivey green. Now I'm going to put down the cottons, the white ones, the ones with just the aluminum acetate, and show you the difference and the colors. They're the same. Really, these are absolutely the same color. So you might as well just go with the water. Let's look at the linens. Okay, linen with isopropyl alcohol, and linen with, I'm just going to show you the ones with the tannin and aluminum acetate first. So this is the water, and this is the isopropyl alcohol. Again, same color, might as well use the water. And on the white linen, they both have a slight, very slight green cast to them for the aluminum acetate only. You can see a little bit more in the yarn. There is a slight green cast. But again, on the cellulose fibers, the linen, okay, the tannin and aluminum acetate did the best. So now let's go ahead and look at the wools. I'm going to try to do this one at a time so that we don't get things mixed up. Alright, so let's look at the wool with the tin mordant. So this is the water. Hey, I like that green. But here is the one with the aluminum acetate. It's much brighter. I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah, you can see it on the camera. The one with the isopropyl alcohol is a brighter green. It's more... It just, this one here seems to be a little desaturated, and this seems to be a little more saturated. So then let's look at it on the fabric. So I have a smaller piece of fabric here. This one here is the water, and this one here is the isopropyl alcohol. Now on this, I like the isopropyl alcohol better. This is going to be one of those ones where I think it depends on what you want and depends on what color you want, which one you use. Because on this one here, I really do like the isopropyl alcohol on this one here better. So let's look at the copper. Okay, so this is the isopropyl alcohol. It's a really good army green. I mean, that is just... The Army would love to have blankets made out of this. This is a really good Army green. Like I said, isopropyl alcohol. Now let's look at the water. The water is very slightly darker. Now it shows up a little darker even more on the camera than it does in real life. It is slightly darker, but it does show up on the camera more. And even the yarn is a little darker. The isopropyl alcohol is a little brighter. Okay, and then let's look at the alum. Let's see. Alum, this is the isopropyl alcohol, and alum with water. The water, again, is slightly darker. But again, it's just a really good Army olive greens. Again, I think the Army would love to have blankets made out of this. By the way, Purpleheart, which surprises you because you think Purpleheart would give you purple yarn. And when I first put the Purpleheart sawdust to soak in the water, it was purple. It was absolutely purple. But and matter of fact, even when I got done with the dyeing, the water still had a purple cast to it. So there's obviously a chemical reaction. I don't know if it's with the heat or if it's with the Mortons. I thought I did one in here where I had one that wasn't Mortonted at all. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. This wasn't even Mortonted at all, which, again, it can't be the Mortons because it's green. So obviously, with reacting with the fiber, whether it be cellulose fiber or protein fiber, even though the water in the pot was a purple-ish, what came out is green. Now, here's a hilarious part. Let me put these away and I'm going to show you something. Okay, so when I put the Purpleheart into the piece of fabric, now this piece of fabric here, let's see, this one, yeah, so this piece of fabric here I had used before. I used this with the yellow heart, and since it basically had the sheerest, palest hint of pink or yellow on it, I saw no reason to keep it, so I decided to reuse it. So I put it in, all this stuff in here. Now, mind you, this is a nice light green, and so when I put the Purpleheart in the napkin, and as it was starting to soak up, you have the palest yellow on the top, and then you have this line of, I don't know what I would call it, a tealy purple. It was just really weird because where it started to soak up into it, there was actually I think I took a picture of it. If I did, I'll put it here. If there isn't a picture here, it was pale yellow, I think a stripe of purple, and then green underneath. Or was it green underneath and then a stripe? I don't remember. Anyways, there was bands of colors where the chemical and the dye was soaking up into it. It was yellow, then green, then purples. I hope there's a picture here. So anyways, I like the light green. I think I'm going to keep this, again, because you do need light colors for quilts and stuff. I think I'm going to keep this because it is a nice, soft green. It's just a really nice, almost a sagey green. So I'm going to keep that. The one that had the canary wood in it, you can tell where it has a little darker stain in the middle. Let's see if it's better on this side. So this is where the canary wood was. Again, it's a nice pale green. It's a slightly darker color, or slightly different color anyways. I don't know if I'm going to keep this one and just keep the other one, or use this one here again. I'm not sure yet. Now let's look at the hankies that were in the dye pots, or in the sun teas. This is gorgeous, isn't it? I'm pretty sure this is the water. Of course, it got dyed again, but still, lovely green. And unfortunately, there's a hole in it where I clipped the tie, but that's okay. I can work around that. But isn't that just the prettiest green? There's got to be something I can use thin fabric like this for, even if I have to line it with something. It's just so pretty. So there's that. And then the others, this one here is slightly darker, but this one here has a purple cast to it. This one here actually may be the water. This may be this has got to be one of the alcohols because it's green. This one here has a purple cast, so this must have been the water. It's a pretty color. I'm going to keep this one. And then this one here is just a real pale, and it's obviously been used from something else. I'm going to reuse this one. So, anyways, Purpleheart. Purple wood, although it oxidizes towards the browns, which is, I think, is interesting, but this definitely had some purple cast to it. Adding the water to it, you definitely had purples coming out. But man, as soon as you put the yarn in and the fiber in and the cloth in, they turned green. And I am absolutely surprised. I'm not unhappy, although it would have been nice to have gotten purple out of Purpleheart. But the one that I liked the most, and if I get some more Purpleheart, I would like to do another sun tea with water. Put more Purpleheart in it and let it sit out in the sun for a lot longer. I think I would like to get strongers of this because those blues and those teals. I mean, these are nice and they have their uses, but the other one's prettier. This one's prettier. So anyways, there is the results of the Purpleheart. So yeah, I think it's interesting how they change colors, but how the water and the alcohol were the same in some points and different in some points. It's just one of those ones, I don't know if it's because you need to just find it out for yourself and find out what colors that you like the best, or what. I learned a lot from this experiment. I've never heard anybody dyeing with Purpleheart before, and doing this, what was a revelation, what colors I got, and it was just a lot of fun. I got the Purpleheart sawdust from Shepherd's Woodworking, which is where I've been getting almost all my sawdust and stuff from, especially the exotics and stuff like that. So anyways, so I'll put a link to them on the fiberpusher.com website as well if you want to get some sawdust from them. I'm happy. I know it's not purple, but I am happy because it's an unusual color. You just don't see this color that much with natural dyes, and I like it. I really like it. So anyways, there's our results, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.